Monday and beginning of the week. It's going to be a little bit chilly, and we've all had some crazy weather this winter, and it's going to be right today. It was in the 50s. Tonight it's going to be a little bit more chilly. Tomorrow it's going to warm up again, but it's going to be rainy. So we had originally planned on having some type of tacos or burritos for dinner, but the lettuce that we had just bought already turned, so we're not going to be having that. Instead, we're going to do some soup. Now, most people, they go to chili when it's chilly, or when it's rainy, everybody wants chili. That's kind of like the go-to soup. But I have tummy trouble, so a lot of tomato stuff, even if I add sugar to it, just doesn't sit real well with me all the time. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So tonight we're going to do a little bit more mellow soup, but it's full of flavor. So all I can say is follow along with me. Some of you may have made something similar to this before, but we'll see. Yes, I'm cooking in the living room. We're going to call this our living room cooking series because Chef doesn't know my steps to making the soup. I borrowed this burner from my brother and sister-in-law. They used it in their vending trailer. I think they used to heat their cheese on this thing. Anyway, I've got a small pot here that's filled halfway with water. I've got one big boneless, skinless chicken breast, about a half a pound. Depending on how many people you're going to feed as to the ingredients that you're going to want to use. I also have a half of a smoked sausage here. You can use any kind of sausage, ham, anything like that. We had this in the freezer, so I'm going to be using this. I've got some garlic, some onion, which is a different process. Garlic, onions, potatoes, celery, carrots, cabbage. I've got some chicken bouillon, salt and pepper. Got a little pack of Saźon and some pasta. But it may seem more complicated than it is, but it's really not. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Like I said, I've got the pot here. I'm going to season it with some chicken bouillon, some pepper, and I'm going to put the chicken breast in there. That's what I'm going to do first. I've got about 6 cups of water in here. So I'm only going to do a couple of heaping teaspoons of the Knorr right now. And you know what? We'll do 3. What the heck? Do 3. I'm not going to do any salt right now, but I am going to do pepper. I don't have the burner on yet. Let me take this off and dump some pepper in there. You can just do your spice measurements according to what you want. Not according to what I do, because everybody is different. You just want to season up your water a little bit. You can, if you're feeding many people or you want to take this to a church, you can just boil a whole chicken with the bone and everything. So that way you've got plenty of seasoning in there from the bone from the chicken. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and drop in my chicken breast. All right. Chicken breast in. I'm going to cover it. And I'm just going to cook this until the chicken breast is done. And then we'll take it out once it's done. We're going to leave our broth because that's going to be part of our soup. We're going to be transferring that into a different pot, a bigger pot, so we can accommodate everything else. But first things first, we're going to cook the chicken breast. If you have rotisserie chicken, that's a step saver right there. You can use rotisserie chicken, and just some carton chicken bouillon, or make your own chicken bouillon. But I'll be back when this is cooked and I've pulled it out to cool. Okay, everybody, I'm back. Chicken breast is done now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out and put it into my little bowl here. I'm going to set it off to the side so it can cool. And I'm going to take the pan of broth, and I'm also going to set it off to the side. Now, for those of you that need to take a shortcut, if you have chicken broth at home, or you can make chicken broth at home, by bouillon or whatever, you can just stick a chicken breast in the air fryer or anything you want to do. I just find out it's got more flavor when you boil it, even though it doesn't have a bone, you're still getting a little bit of that extra chicken flavor. So that's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the lid off of this and I'm going to pull my chicken breast out. I let it boil for about 25 minutes because it's a good sized piece of chicken breast. Just boil yours until you feel like it's done. And I'm going to set this broth off to the side and then we're going to cut up our veggies and switch our pots. Okay, I switched to a bigger pot. This is my, I believe it's 5-quart. So I've got it sitting here. I don't have the burner on yet. The light is still on from it being on recently, but I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons of butter in there. I'm just going to keep it on low, and then I'm going to get to cutting veggies. I've got about 5 cloves of garlic. If you have minced garlic already, you can use that. I put in a heaping tablespoon. Okay, everybody, got my garlic chopped up, so I'm going to turn my burner on here on low. Got my butter in here. I'm going to go ahead and put my garlic in here. We like using fresh garlic. I know the kind you buy in the jar is a lot more convenient, but it just, to us, it just doesn't have the same flavor. Fresh garlic has a much better flavor. That's just my opinion. I like it a lot better. And let that sit in there and do its thing. And of course, I think everybody knows you don't want to let garlic burn, because if you do, it's going to give your food a bitter flavor. All right. And I'm going to take an onion. We've got a kind of a large size onion, not too big, but it's a good size onion. I'm going to peel it. And I'm just going to cut it any way you want to. I'm just going to sliver mine. That's what I like to do. I'm going to let the garlic cook for a few minutes first. Kind of infuse some of its flavor into the butter. Let me get my peeling going and I'll be back. When I get some of this done, I'll move the burner closer to me so you guys can get a better look inside the pan and see what's going on in there. If you want, you don't have to use all butter either. You can use like a couple of tablespoons of butter and a couple of tablespoons of oil. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna sliver my onions. You can chop them, dice them. You do you, as I always say. You do you. However you want to do them. Okay, I got my onions all slivered up here. This is what I meant by slivers, just like that. I was watching the news and saw that Roberta Flack passed away. How sad. Okay. Gonna drop my onions in now. Garlic's been cooking for a couple of minutes while I chopped up the onion. Get that in there. If you don't like onion, you don't have to use any. If you don't like garlic, you don't have to use any. If you can tolerate onion or garlic powder, obviously it would help with the flavor a little bit, but you don't have to. Get that all stirred up with the garlic. Smells so good in here right now. I need to chop up my smoked sausage, but before I do that, I'm going to get a little bit of celery out. Okay, I'm only using just a little bit of celery. You can see that. That's all I'm using, and I like to use the celery tops too. I think celery tops have a lot of flavor in them. I'm just thinly slicing this up and chopping up the celery tops. And then I'll be putting that in with our onions and garlic next. I'll be right back. Okay, got my celery all diced up now, so I'm going to go in the pan with my celery. And then after I get done with getting the celery in there, then I'm going to chop up some smoked sausage. You can omit the smoked sausage and just use all chicken if you want to. Smoked sausage is just a little extra protein and a little added flavor. And most people like smoked sausage. I don't know if you can see in my pan already, right there. Take my smoked sausage. I'm just going to cut it in thin slices, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut the slices in half as well. If you want to dice it up, you can dice it up. However you want to do it. You don't even have to put in as much as I'm going to put in. If you just put in a couple of ounces of it, that'll be enough to give it a little extra flavor. Just going to cut these in half. Chef likes smoked sausage a lot. You can use ham. Or like I said, just use all chicken. Go ahead and throw these in there. Get this other one cut up. Yeah, we'll just cut it in half first. Save a little time. I kind of wish we would have got the skinless. I like the skinless a lot better than I do the one with the skin on, but it's okay. You know, just take the time and peel it off if you want to, but not necessary. Okay. Sausage in. Give it a good stir. So we've got garlic, onions, celery, and smoked sausage. Wipe my hand off. We are going to put in, I've got 3 small potatoes, but those are going to come a little bit later. I'm going to do just a few baby carrots, not many. Just gives a little extra color. And all I'm going to do with these is just cut them once. And drop them in. Since they're already baby carrots, if you have regular carrots, just give them a slice. Whatever size you prefer. Okay. Alright. Just gonna let that cook together for a few minutes. And I'm gonna go ahead and work on peeling my potatoes, and I'll just set those off to the side for a few minutes while that's cooking. So I saw there was another airline mishap on the news. A Delta Airlines going from, where was it? Atlanta, Georgia to somewhere in South Carolina. Cabin filled with smoke. They had to return back to Georgia, make an emergency landing. I don't have any clue what's going on with American aviation lately, but I love to fly, but now, and then they said that there was a plane that was somewhere overseas. I think it initiated in France. It was an Air France, maybe. No. It's an American company, I believe it was, that had to be escorted by French military jets because they apparently had received a email bomb threat for that plane. So they diverted and Made an emergency landing and got everybody off the plane, and found out that the email was actually only a hoax. But could you imagine being the pilots of that aircraft, knowing that you have a possible bomb on board? It made me immediately think of the Lockerbie issue from, I think it was 1988 or 89, when the 747 passenger plane with all those passengers blew up over Lockerbie, Scotland, and it was a bomb. Just terrifying. The Delta jet in Toronto, I don't know what happened, but it looked like as soon as it landed, I don't know if it was landing gear failure or what, it's like that wing just looked like it snapped right off. And those things are be able to pretty much withstand almost a vertical stressor. So I don't know. So yeah, I've just got 3 small potatoes here, and I'm just peeling them. And then Chef will take them down and wash them up for me after I peel them. I'm not going to put them in right now. I'm just getting it peeled so I can go ahead and shred the chicken and get this stuff out of the way so I can bring the pot closer to me so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better as I'm assembling the soup. As with everything I say, if you don't want potatoes in there, you don't have to put potatoes either. If you want to put sweet potatoes, you can put sweet potatoes in it. That's a good alternative. Rutabaga, parsnips, anything that you may have on hand. I just say potatoes because most people have potatoes in their pantry or cupboard somewhere. Let me get my peeling cleaned up. Okay. Going ahead and cutting these up. Just going to dice them into not tiny pieces, but just good bite-sized pieces. And then set them off to the side. I know it seems like it takes a while for the soup, but it really doesn't. It's just because I'm up here and I'm a little bit of a disadvantage. If I was down in the kitchen, I'd be obviously moving a lot faster. I wouldn't have to worry about space. Right now I have to worry about space. But this is a chunky, hearty, yummy soup. And if you've never had it before, I think if you give it a try, you'll be really surprised. And I know a lot of kids, we're going to put cabbage in ours, and I know sometimes kids don't like cabbage. You definitely do not have to put the cabbage in there. It's not a necessity. To me, it's just kind of a combination between a chicken vegetable soup, a cream of chicken soup, potato soup. It just has a little bit of the components of all of it put together in one pot, and it's super, super, super yummy. I'm going to put these in a little dish right here, and Chef can take them and throw them in the colander for me here in a bit and rinse them out. If you make this soup and you have extras, it's a good soup to freeze. Okay. I'm going to set that off to the side. Like I said, sorry, I bumped the camera. I'm trying to get everything done so that I can see how my chicken is. Okay. Get everything done so I can move the pot closer. I just got this on low right now. Medium low. Just letting everything cook in there for a few minutes. Just gonna cut this up. You can shred it, whatever you want to do. Pull it apart. I'm just chopping it up. Okay. I'm not going to add the chicken back in just yet. I'm going to put it back over here in the dish I had it in. I will add it back in when I add my potatoes in. Okay. So that's a good amount of chicken for one large chicken breast right there. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and chop up my cabbage, but I don't think you guys are too interested in watching me chop that up. So when I get it done, then I'll be back. Before I do that, though, I am going to go ahead and throw in some cavatappi. I know I don't have liquid in there yet, but there's a method to my madness. I don't want my pasta to get too soft. I like it to have a little bit of an al dente bite to it, so I'm just going to let it cook in here. I'm adding a good couple of cups, a little over a couple of cups of cavatappi, and I'll look at it, and if I need to add extra, then I will. Let me show you guys. Let me get it stirred around. And also, to me, it gives the pasta a little extra flavor. Let's see if you guys can see in there right now. You can see all that. Just gonna let that go for a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put my broth in there. But I'll move this closer before I add the broth and stuff like that. So I'm gonna chop up the cabbage, and then I'll be back. Okay, that's the cabbage that we have. This isn't a very deep dish thing right here. I'd say I probably got about 2 cups if you compact it, smash it down in. 3 cups, 2 to 3 cups of cabbage. I'm gonna clean up my mess. Okay, I tried to move it closer, but that's what we're looking like in here now. You guys can see that. Our sausage is getting a nice little brown on it, but not too much. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that chicken broth that I had, and I'm just going to give it a little stir. And I'm going to carefully pour it into our pot. Okay. All right. If you guys could smell this, it smells so good. I wish I could get this thing to tilt down a little bit more, but you guys can see that. So now I have a pack of my Saźon Goya. I'm going to put this in here. It just gives it has no heat to it. So you don't have to worry about spice. It just gives it a little extra flavor and a little pretty color. Okay. Give that a little mix. If you, like I said, if you don't have this Saźon, you don't even have to worry about adding it because it's going to have enough flavor anyway. We just like the flavor of the Saźon. So that's what it looks like now. You can see it's a little bit of a color difference with the Saźon in it. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my burner up just a little bit. I'm going to add in my potatoes that the chef rinsed and the chicken. I'm going to add it in now. Okay. Get it all stirred up. I think I'm going to have Chef bring me a couple of cups of water. I just need if you can see that. I just need I'm going to add a little bit of extra water to this. So I got plenty of room plenty of juice for the pasta to cook and the potatoes. And once I get the water in here, I'm going to give it a little taste. And then I will adjust my seasonings if I need to add salt, pepper, a little bit more chicken bouillon, whatever I feel like I need to add. And that's obviously what you would do at home too. And then I'm going to put the lid on it. And I'm going to let it cook until the potatoes are fork tender. And the pasta is done. And probably about 30 minutes. And we'll be back. Okay, going in with the extra water. I did add 2 more teaspoons of chicken bouillon and about a ½ teaspoon of black pepper.
3 cups of water.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this around, and I've got my burner turned up to medium high. I want to get it to a good boil. Once it starts boiling, I'll put my lid on it, and then I'll go ahead and turn it down to medium low and let it cook until my pasta is done and my potatoes are fork tender. There's the soup still coming along. I'm still waiting on it to come to a boil. You can see chicken, sausage, carrots, onions, potatoes, pasta. A lot of things you would have around your home and in your pantry, but we're not done yet. Okay, we've got a good boil going on now, so I'm going to turn it down on medium low, and I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let it cook again, like I said, until the pasta is done and the potatoes are fork tender. A little bit before that, though, because we are adding cabbage to ours. About halfway through, I'm going to go ahead and put our cabbage in. Now, you want to make sure to take a clean spoon, taste your broth. Don't burn yourself. Blow it off. Taste your broth. Make sure you don't need to add any other bouillon, salt, or pepper. Remember, you can always add it later. You can never take it out, so you don't want to ever add too much. Okay, so I've got a good boil going on, so we're about halfway through. And take the lid off. It's going to slowly add my cabbage. Add my cabbage in there. Give it a stir. Get it submerged. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on it and let that cabbage cook. In the meantime, Chef is making us some cornbread because cornbread is a nice pairing with this. Either some French bread, some cornbread, even biscuits. It's a nice pairing for this. Okay, we are down to the end of this just about now. Go ahead and take my lid off. Pasta, potatoes, and cabbage is done. So I said in the beginning, it's very chunky, very hearty, and very yummy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, I'm not going to measure it. You can measure it at home. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to do about a ½ cup of milk. I've got some heavy whipping cream. Now, you can do all milk if you don't have any heavy whipping cream, or you can even do a can of evaporated milk and a can of water if you're trying to save money. Because this actually is a relatively, besides the chicken breast, which you can find on sale a lot of times, you can use chicken thighs. The sausage, a lot of times smoked sausage, you can find it on sale.
Yeah, you only used half of it.
Yeah, I only used half of the package, so, or just omit it. It's just basically your carrots, celery, onions, garlic, potatoes, and for us, cabbage. I'm going to do about a ½ cup of heavy whipping cream. Just makes it a little creamier. And then the last thing I'm going to add is just a little handful of cheddar cheese. You don't have to do the cheddar cheese if you don't want to. I wouldn't add too much because cheddar cheese can be salty sometimes. Just going to stir this around together. Let the milks get warm. Let the cheese melt. If you feel like you want yours more soupy, then you can add more water to it or more chicken broth or whatever. But we like ours like this. You can see that. Let me see if I can turn a little light on. You can see that. Delicious. The flavor is amazing, and I really think if you give it a try, you'd love it. You can always chop your vegetables in that the night before. It seems like it took me a long time because I'm making a video and I'm doing step by step, but it really does not take long at all to make. So just letting everything heat up, letting the milks heat up, the cheese melt, and waiting for our cornbread to be done, and then we'll be eating dinner. We'll be back. Oh, and Chef did chop up a little bit of green onions for a garnish. Optional, totally optional. Or parsley. Parsley always adds a pretty color. Okay, everybody, it's scooping out time. If you want it more liquidy than this, because like I said, it's very chunky, very like stewy. Like, I mean, there is plenty of broth in there. But if you want more, you can add more milk or evaporated milk. Whatever you'd like. Okay. So there is my sopas. And there is our cheesy cornbread that Chef made. He made it from scratch, not a mix. It has extras in it. He put some of the cheesy corn. If you guys remember my crock-pot cheesy corn, he put some of that in it. He put some Frito-Lay cheddar cheese in it and topped it with some cheddar cheese. So this is a good partner with our sopa, and I'm going to have a taste here in just a minute. Okay, everybody, there it is served up. There's some chicken right there. You can see chicken, carrots. I've got some green onions on top, cabbage, sausage, potatoes, just a little bit of everything, cavatappi. It's so hot. So very hot, but I'm telling you, it's so good. A little bit of cornbread with a little crunchy top. Trying to do this one-handed. Sorry, guys. Get down in here and get a little bit of our sopas with some cabbage. I know the potatoes are going to be super hot. Whew, it's going to be really hot. Want a bite, guys? Whew. Let me let it cool a minute. Okay, here we go. I promise you, if you like these ingredients, if you like chicken and celery and carrots, you're going to love this soup 100%. I guarantee it. Like I said, easy to prepare ahead of time. You can cut the veggies the night before. You can even saute them the night before. Super good. A dinner, we highly recommend. Right, Chef?
Yes. Very good.
Very good. So thanks for watching the video. What?
Very cheap to make, too. It's economical.
Yes, it's very cheap to make. I mean, celery, carrots, onions. Doesn't cost any eggs. There's no eggs in it.
Potatoes.
Like I said, you don't have to use heavy whipping cream. You can use evaporated milk, which is even cheaper.
Half of a piece of smoked sausage, one small chicken breast.
Very cheap to make and a very hearty meal, and we'll have plenty left over. And we'll even have some to put in the freezer if we want to. So thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it was long, but sometimes I like to do things step by step for those that's maybe never cooked before, new brides or anything like that. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you in the next video. Say bye, Chef.
Bye, Chef.